This is a download from Rutland Radio.
Hello, and thank you for downloading the Rutland Radio podcast from rutlandradio.co.uk. This is where you can hear the best bits from the last week.
I'm Jim Coolham, and I'm the chairman of Stamford and District Roundtable this year.
And how long has the car show been going?
So this is year 16 for the car show. It's our main fundraising event. We attract over 550 cars onto the Stamford Meadows, and obviously on a day like this it's absolutely fantastic. We've estimated we've had about 6,000 people come through the gates and have a look around the show this year.
Some really nice cars here, isn't there?
There's some fantastic cars. The beauty of this show is we let everybody in, so you can get everything for a 1936 Rolls Royce right up to a modern day sports car like a McLaren and everything else in between.
Tell me about the awards then.
So we've given out 7 awards this year, varying from the best classics and sports cars, so we try and cover all the cars, and even an award for motorbikes as well this year, because we do have quite a good presence of motorbikes.
You just about filled the meadows here with cars, haven't you?
We have filled the meadows. Unfortunately, we can't really expand because we've got water on 2 sides and a fence on the other, so this is as big as it's going to get. So 450 cars on the meadows, that's a pretty good turnout for us.
And the weather's on your side as well.
Absolutely fantastic, much better than what it was last year. So for registration, if you want to bring your car along next year, just visit our website at stamfordcarshow.co.uk. You can register your interest and we'll invite you along and come along next year. But this year, the registration's filled up within about 6 weeks. So if you want to come, you better be quick.
OK, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Highlights from the past 7 days, the Rutland Radio podcast.
So the August Bank Holiday weekend just hours away, and one big event that happens every single August Bank Holiday weekend is the charitable opening, I guess, of the Stapleford Miniature Railway with Vintage Steam Rally, and Nigel Spencer is here to tell us more about what's happening this weekend. The Stapleford Miniature Railway, it's quite unusual, isn't it, with the 10.25 gauge track that it's got?
Yeah, it's considered to be probably one of the finest in the country, if not the world, to be honest. It's quite unique with the tunnels and the climbs that it has to go up and down, and obviously going around the lake as well. So it's nearly 2 miles of line, and it really works the locos hard.
And you've had all sorts of famous faces over the years, haven't you? From Pete Waterman, a known train fan, to one of the members of Guns N' Roses.
Well, Duff McKagan, last June it was, not this year, the year before. We had the entourage on the train because they were playing download, and I jokingly said to them, you'll have to get the band to come and have a ride. And next minute, Duff McKagan comes over, and there was a fire crew there from Melton, and he spent about 20 minutes with the fire crew because I think his dad was a firefighter in America. And yeah, but I took a couple of pictures and it went all over the world. It was even in NME.
So tell us what people can experience this weekend, because you've got the miniature railway running, which I know you charge separately for.
Yeah, it's £5 for adults, 3 for children. Under 5s are free to the event. You can bring dogs, but we advise not to. It's going to be a very hot weekend. And unfortunately, we can't carry dogs anymore. We've had to make a decision. Really, we're the last railway to do it of our sort of size because we don't have enclosed carriages. Yeah. So we can't carry dogs anymore on the trains. So it's probably not a good idea to bring a dog this weekend. And
as well as the Stapleford Miniature Railway, you've got the Vintage Steam Rally. So you've got all kinds of extra stuff there this weekend. Yeah,
it's a big vintage rally as well, so lots of steam. I think I saw the latest was something like 40 miniature steam traction engines and rollers and all that sort of thing. And there's all lots and lots of classic cars. There's even a quirky classic caravan village. There's a society that restores vintage classic caravans right back to the 30s. They recreate it with all the atmosphere. So they've got the car to go with the caravan, and they'll also have the period dress as well. And you can walk around this display. It's a complete village of these caravans.
And you've got the most beautiful landscape of Stapleford Park as well, actually, with the railway where it's sited.
Yes, exactly, and lots of wildlife. There's loads of swans on the lake now. We've got the little egrets and the herons and all the other wildlife that you associate with a big lake, which literally you're going around on the train and right by.
And you're raising money, as always, for Loros. Has that always been the charity that's been supported through this event?
Yeah, we started in '95 when we opened it, and the reason we do that is the late Lord John Gretton, Lady Gretton's husband at the time, was one of the first patients to go into Loros in the late 80s. So we decided that when we first opened in '95, it'd be great to raise money for the charity, and we've done that ever since.
You must have raised a few thousand then over
Oh, yeah, an awful lot. I don't know what the total figure is. I mean, there is a room there that's dedicated to Lord Gretton and lots of other things that we've supplied, you know, equipment and that. So, yeah, it's very big.
And Lady Gretton, can we expect her to be actually on the front of one of the trains? Because she does quite like that, doesn't she?
Yeah, I'm not sure this weekend whether she's going to be there or not. I think she is. Her locomotive that she likes to drive is back now. That had a 5-year overhaul, so that came back in June. So that's available. So I would guess if she's up, she probably will want to have a drive. 5 locomotives in steam, so there's going to be an awful lot going on.
So that's 10 till 5, Saturday, Sunday and Bank Holiday Monday to come along.
Yeah, we sort of say 5, but obviously if people are still there, we've not been unknown that we're still running the railway at 6 o'clock if people want to ride on it. So, yeah.
Excellent stuff. It's this weekend at Stapleford Park, and Nigel Spencer, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Rob.
Rutland Radio.
Good morning.
Good morning, and how was your Bank Holiday weekend, other than one word, warm?
Not warm, hot.
Yes.
I don't go out in it. I've got a fan. My daughter brought me a fan, and I just sit and listen to the radio, read a book, and have an ice cream when the ice cream man comes. I did go to Skegness on Thursday with one of my sons. Got in a boat and couldn't get out. That's old age, on your knees. I'll tell you what's upsetting me. All this smashing of the flowers in bloom.
Yes.
We really need more CCTV, and not just smack the hand. Make them rebuild the things and do community service gardening. I can't see why there's the need to smash up things.
No, I know exactly what you mean, and we're talking obviously about the planters around the high street and the lane as well. And I know Little Lane Nursery had their door vandalised, and it all seemed to be the same sort of colour. Why would you do it?
It's heartbreaking. Why do people feel the need? What's lacking that they feel the need to break everything? I don't know what the answer is really, but I mean, we went scrumping and gingerbread knocking, knocking the doors and running, but we didn't do anything that destroys anything. That's what it is. They seem to want to destroy. But apart from that, it's been lovely just to sit and do nothing and watch everybody and listen to the children playing in these paddling pools. I'm wishing you could get in one yourself.
It's very cold in them. I was quite surprised because our little one went in with no problem, lay down, I put my feet in. It was a bit cold, but I got used to it.
That's the first sign you're getting old, right?
Is it really?
But you and Mrs. P did look beautiful in that photo. You scrub up well.
Oh, thank you. Yes, like the Rutland Musical Theatre Ball on Saturday night. It was really lovely, actually, at the Falcon in Uppingham. And yeah, everyone looked fabulous on that night, and it was really good fun as well. So yeah, thank you.
Rutland Radio's best bits on the podcast.
So it's Tessa Burrows, and I'm a group worker at Home Start.
And this kids patch on a Wednesday morning, 10 till 12. Tell us who it's aimed at, what sort of ages and what kind of activities they do. I mean, I can see all ages here.
Yeah, in the 6 weeks holiday, it's open to sort of 10 years old, but during term time, it's mainly preschoolers.
And what sort of thing are you aiming to teach them and get them to engage with?
It's really a gardening club. It's teaching them how to just enjoy being outside, enjoy nature, enjoy growing fruit and veg, finding out where the vegetables come from that they're eating. We'll often harvest the food and cook it as well so that they can actually see where it's come from and different ways to eat it and things. And we try to experiment with the different types of vegetables we do, so different types of cucumber, peppers, tomatoes and things like that. So that's the main thing, but it's also just for them to have fun. So it's not all just gardening, because when they're this young they don't have a great attention span, so there's lots of different activities for them to do, free play as well at the same time.
And just looking around here, you must have, I don't know, dozen or so, maybe up to 20 children here, and how many people look after it? You lead the group, but you're looking for more volunteers, I know.
Yes, I mean, the volunteers that we really need are people that are interested in gardening. So it's not so much helping with the group, it's people to come in who are actually really interested in gardening, and especially vegetable gardening, but any type of gardening, to just help come. Some of the jobs are quite basic that need doing, the weeding, watering, but it's also if they're interested in growing vegetables and things like that, to help with that aspect of it as well. We're absolutely crying out for volunteers for that.
So would they need to be here on a Wednesday morning, or could they be here during the week kind of doing the upkeep and the helping?
Yeah, they can come whenever they want, so it's very flexible whenever they want to come, and whatever they can offer, so we wouldn't be holding them to anything. So.
And how would they best get in touch with you?
They would need to contact the Home Start offices, and then I'll be able to contact them back and get all their details and arrange to come out and visit them here and see what they wanted to do.
I really want to come here just to capture some of the atmosphere. I mean, you can just hear it, can't you? Just listen and you just hear it.
Yeah, I know. It's just lovely, isn't it? I'm very lucky because I absolutely love my job. It's just fantastic, and it's very relaxing as well. And I think that's one of the things that the parents really enjoy as well. It's a group, but because it's outdoors, you've got 20 children here, but actually it's not that noisy. And it's not like, that they're just happy and enjoying themselves, but, you've got the sun shining and it just feels relaxing, which is quite unusual. You go to any sort of fun farm or anything like that, and it's just, every parent comes out with a headache, don't they? So it's the complete opposite to that, really.
Great, thanks for joining us on Rutland Radio, and this will continue right the way through all the seasons.
Yes, we're open right through winter as well, so there's always bits to do and there's always activities available to do. So
Rutland Radio.
Pauline Harrison, and I'm chairman of Rutland Sailability.
And what does a new safety boat mean to sailability? Presumably this is something obviously you've covered. Is it a replacement? Is it additional to what you've got?
It is in fact a replacement. The other one we've had for I think 12 years now, and although it's just been to Japan and back and served as a support boat, now we need something because for us, of course, health and safety is paramount, and we need to keep up those pieces of equipment up to date. With current standards, but also just again normal replacement programs. But of course they are major items financially, because a lot of our fundraising is simply for the day-to-day running of the club. So without the support of this leader project, we would have been in trouble raising the money for this quality of boat. What we are hoping is that it will do another 10, 12 years, and it's certainly now absolutely perfect for the setting, and increases because we actually will retain the other boat, but what it does mean, we can cover more sailors on the water at any one time. So it's many things really, keeping up to date and broadening the range of opportunities, because at the moment we do all our sailing in quite a small sailing area, so we control it. We're looking forward to being able to go explore further round and still being able to offer the same level of safety cover. So we're very thrilled. It's been a long haul, and lots of people have been involved and organisations, because these applications are not straightforward, and we're talking about big sums of money. So we've reached this day, and it's just wonderful. We're very excited. This and the recovery vehicle just make life so much easier.
Is the recovery vehicle, you're talking about that orange tractor that actually...
Yes, yes, but what's very important is it's not for agricultural use. It's very much for facilitating sailing. And what it allows us to do, in simple terms, it sits higher out of the water. So it means that the tractor can go further into the water, because we need a certain depth in order to launch our boats. And with the rise and fall of the level of the water, it gives us much more versatility, and also it simplifies the system. We had to have an extra device to get them in, and we have a number of members who are approved and qualified to drive the recovery vehicle, but if you're not doing it regularly every day, keeping it simple is an additional benefit in terms of safety for everybody, because manoeuvring, I mean, you saw it coming down now, and I'm lost in admiration, and so the combination of these two things have really moved us on, and of course it means we can get more people in the water quicker, sooner, in and out, whatever, and it's a very exciting day for Rutland Sailability.
And the sort of boat that it is, it's the kind of boat that we would see on the other side, on the other shore, around the water sports area, that orange Humber. But presumably you need a winch, you need equipment to get people out if they're in wheelchairs, actually sailing.
Yes, all sorts of additional equipment off the pontoon, yes, for getting in and out of boats.
In terms of the rescue boat as well?
And from the safety boat. What we are adding to this boat is a sling device which goes... it means that you're not hauling somebody by their armpits and somebody you hope might be kicking their legs and they may not be kicking their legs to assist that transfer into the safety boat. We're going to add this device which is like a stretcher, not so rigid, and so it'll have... and you simply then can pull somebody in, and you're basically rolling them over the side, which is a much safer manoeuvre as well for everybody, because equally it's important to protect both those who are rescuing as well as those who are being rescued. And keeping it, again, simplicity is important because of the number of people who might be involved in taking that role on the safety boats. And obviously, what else do we have? Very obviously maintaining accessible ramps, and then of course where we are so fortunate is to be in an accessible venue, on what has to be the finest inland sailing area in the country. We're certainly the largest man-made lake, aren't we? And it's attracting people. We have all sorts of major events here because of that. And to have this equipment, it also means that we can gel with the club and be more independent, but equally we can, share the load. So we fit into the club so well, where we're so welcome. So I would personally like to take this opportunity to thank everybody, and I'm not going to risk listing, but there's a whole team of people around me here. There's 20 odd people coming here, all of whom have been involved in this process of getting this leader grant, and Rutland Sailability is enormously grateful, and I talk for the whole membership. So thank you, and thank you for coming to this very special day.
The weekly Rutland Radio podcast.
My name's Dennis Stanley. I'm a volunteer who chairs the Local Action Group, which is the group that manages the expenditure of the European Leader funding that Peterborough and Rutland attracted.
So that itself is a group that comes together, really, to get money that could be spent anywhere in the country to be spent in our region.
Well, in essence, it was down initially to Opportunities Peterborough and Rutland County Council, who wrote a proposal which was a bid to government, and that bid was accepted, roughly about 1.3 million, on the basis that they would set up a group who would then manage it on their behalf. There's about 14 of us. We're all volunteers. The money goes for the benefit of rural communities. Projects are diverse as converting of outbuildings in a country pub for bed and breakfast to make the business more viable. We've given money to community centres to provide some very important services in rural communities. Very excited about being here today because Sailability, we were able to give a relatively small amount of money, £23,000, but we think it'll make a difference. In fact, that's been the essence of Leader. The biggest grant we've given is $70,000. We're not giving money to the big boys because that's traditionally where the grants go. The people who've got the experience, the knowledge and the resource to appoint often professional bid writers to grab the money. I think the Leader approach has enabled organisations that normally wouldn't get near the honeypot. And that small injection of cash can make such a difference. But it's a small pottery business we just funded, right the way through to farm diversification to community projects such as this.
And Langham Village Hall roof, the reconstruction, the maintenance of it, started this week, Tuesday morning, 9 o'clock, paid for by Leader funding.
Great. Isn't that a nice thing to be able to say? Got a fabulous job. I can come along to things like this and see some real benefit.
The Georgian Festival 2 years ago in Stamford, the amazing Saturday night parade, paid for by Leader funding. I saw that projected on the wall myself.
Great, good. Well, to be fair, we haven't promoted Leader. We've been too busy getting on with it, and too busy to ensure that, say, people who normally wouldn't get to funding get to it. So we're rather proud of the range of projects that we've got. I mean, I would estimate at least £500,000 has come into Rutland through a variety of schemes in small pots. So hopefully it's made a bit of a difference, and I can assure you those of us who've granted the money have got a great kick out of it.
So this is obviously a crossroads for the whole country. That affects you directly as the pot of money from Europe probably won't come.
Well, certainly I can't see us getting any European money from now on. But, I'm fortunate enough to sit on a national group representing Cambridgeshire and Norfolk as well as Peterborough, and I've been putting pressure on DEFRA to say this approach has been recognised by Europe and by the British government as being a very good approach in terms of getting to communities as the beer advert goes that normally it doesn't reach.
Reaches the parts that other organisations wouldn't reach.
Exactly, in one. It works. Why not pick up the model? Unfortunately, the civil servants have just put their hands in the air and say, we wholeheartedly agree with you, but quite simply, we're waiting for ministers to advise us. There's an opportunity there. Clearly, the future is going to be that the money is going to come through the local enterprise partnerships. Currently, Rutland looks to be going with Cambridge, and we're in danger of getting lost. We're in danger in the money going to the big cities, the AstraZeneca, big science parks, soaking up millions of pounds. All we're asking for is a relatively small pot of money. We've proved that 1.3 million can make a big difference. And hopefully with the political support of people like Oliver and others, we can beat the door down and say, give us another million and we'll show you what we can do.
So that's 1.3 million across Rutland and Peterborough?
Absolutely, yeah.
So $500,000 of that, of the 1.3 million, has been spent in Rutland. That's great for us.
I might be corrected on that figure. but
roughly.
But roughly about that, yeah.
Great to hear. Thank you for joining us on Rutland Radio.
Absolutely. And thanks to all the projects for giving us the opportunity to share it with them.
Rutland Radio.
We've got the top women's teams coming. We've got the top men's teams coming in the country. On Sunday afternoon, people will be able to see Ed Clancy, triple Olympic gold medalist, riding with the Vitus Pro team. We've got the Sporty for amateur riders on Saturday morning. Women's time trial all through Grimshaw Park on Sunday morning. And the most fantastic weekend of activity, fun and entertainment in the Wellhead for those that, you can go and watch the start and finish on West Street, but then go back to the Wellhead and just having a really great time.
And we've seen the yellow bikes around. We're seeing all the signs saying this is where the route's got to go. The Rutland to Melton Cycle Classic that's been running for, I think, about 15 years now. You've used some of that expertise that's just down the road to actually help the event around the Bourne area.
We've been very lucky to be able to call on that expertise. Clearly, as a district council, we do put on the most fantastic events across the district, but when it's something like a cycle festival, you need the top people running it. And we've been really fortunate to have Brian Moran and Colin Clues, who are a known partnership. We've got an amazing commentator in Carl Lawrenson. We've got a brilliant photographer out on a bike, the bike to get us the pictures back. So we've got a top team.
And as well as Ed Clancy, he's probably the most famous cycling Olympian that's been taking part locally in these sort of things. You've also got real emphasis on homegrown talent, the Bourne Cycling Club, which actually will be basically kicking this off.
Bourne Wheelers have been really, really useful, great friends, great partners in this. There's a lad called Ali Slater, who is now a professional cyclist, rides along with Ed Clancy. Started off with the Go Ride programme for under-16s, went through Bourne Wheelers, a Bourne lad, born and bred, you could say, and he is just so excited that we've got a festival of this calibre coming to his hometown. So yes, it's a great inducement for youngsters to see the path that they can take into professional cycling.
Highlights from the past 7 days, the Rutland Radio Podcast.
I'm Chris Close and I'm the chairman of Collie Weston Historical Society.
Now this Tudor weekend is a chance for local people really to understand and appreciate just how significant Collie Weston was back in Tudor times with regard to royalty and with regard to the country.
Yes, indeed. Growing up in the village, we always knew that there was a palace here in Collie Weston, but we never really appreciated or understood the size or the location or even who stayed at the palace, and so that's what the last 12-month project has been about.
And you've had experts in to try and piece together walls of the previous palace, the sort of buildings that were there. We'll find that out at part of the weekend.
Yes, what we're trying to do is really to cater for the locals as well as the wider national interest in the project and the site. So the locals, we're going to try and put a picture to what this palace looked like and where it was positioned. And on a national level, obviously we've got detailed documentary information and exhibitions to help there as well.
And when we say royalty, we're talking about Henry VII, possibly Henry VIII as well?
Yes, that's right. We've had Henry VII here, Henry VIII and Elizabeth I, as well as Lady Margaret Beaufort, who was Henry VII's mother.
Was this a country retreat for them, rather like the royals go away to Sandringham, say?
Yes, the Palace of Collie Weston, it is documented that it's meant to be Lady Margaret Beaufort's preferred palace. They obviously had many residences at the time that they could use, but Collie Weston was meant to be their favourite.
And it was positioned to kind of look out over the countryside, like most of these places were.
Yes, absolutely. As you can see, the lookout over the Welland Valley, absolutely stunning, so why wouldn't you put a palace there? Collie Weston's heyday was really at the start of the 16th century, when there was a royal procession that came here and stayed here for 2 weeks.
And tell us about this weekend, both Saturday and Sunday from 10 in the morning. Basically, the village comes alive and goes back in time at the same time.
Basically, we've got activities for the entire family, Tudor games, mini reenactments for the kids, a 15-tent medieval soakman group that are going to be here as well. We've got specialist talks going on throughout the day, ranging from subjects like geophysics right through to we've got professional Tudor musicians here as well.
And the Saturday night event is already sold out. You've got 130 people packed into the church to find out about that one.
Yes, it's been particularly popular, and we've now got a waiting list for that particular event. We do still have a few, not many, but only a few seats now for the Sunday event, where we've got 4 famous historians coming. We've got Dr. Michael Jones, we've got Dr. Rachel Delman, Dr. Nicola Tallis, and Stuart Orme also coming.
And Stuart from basically the Peterborough area, looking after the museums over that side, so I guess he's got that kind of local knowledge.
Yes, Stuart's got particular knowledge of Lady Margaret Beaufort and has a particular interest in the Palace of Collie Weston.
Has this all come about from putting a bid together to get money to find out about all this?
Well, we really started this project on a shoestring. Comparable projects that have gone on elsewhere in the country have managed to raise funds in excess of £300,000 from things like the Lottery Fund. We've started off with literally zero, and it's been thanks to business in the area, to private donations, that we've been able to raise a sum of money in order to be able to get the geophysics and put on this excellent event.
So it's this weekend where people get to find out what you have been working on over the last 12 months and also to appreciate what was here.
Yes, absolutely. On the Saturday, we've basically got events running through from 10 o'clock in the morning until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And from 4 o'clock onwards, we start the premium events. And then on the Sunday, we start a little bit later at 11 o'clock in the morning, again with a specialist event going on at 4 o'clock.
And you've got a website. If you go onto the Collie Weston Historical Society, you can find out about what's on when. Is it free entry broadly for the events during the day?
Yes, it is. For basically all the events during the daytime, it's free entry, and it's only a ticket event for the events after 4 o'clock.
And at the end of this weekend, will that kind of close the book on this?
I think it will probably. It really depends on where the local village want to go with this. The local landowners have already been excellent, really cooperative, and obviously whatever we do in the future, or whatever future groups decide to do in the future, is entirely dependent on them.
But I guess for you it feels like you're leaving a legacy for the village really at this point.
Yes, it's a little bit frustrating because you do think you'll be able to just geophys the ground and find a palace, but in reality it doesn't work like that. This will potentially be one of many stages into the future.
Chris, thanks very much for joining us on Rutland Radio. So if you go onto the Collie Weston Historical Society, or indeed our website, you can find out some of the highlights and come along and see some of it.
Fantastic, thank you.
Rutland Radio's best bits on the podcast.
Thanks, Rob. So I'm at the Royce Rangers Family Fun Day at Rutland County Showground. I'm with Ian Razzle, who's the chairman. Ian, what's going on today?
Jen, good morning, and good morning to all the listeners in Rutland. This is the opening day of the season for Royce Rangers. We're now in our 45th year with over 220 children registered. And today is about introducing football to those who haven't been here before. But primarily, Royce Rangers is about football for all, community sport, and we're one of the biggest clubs in the county. And we're looking forward to seeing hundreds of people again here today.
And I notice your sign, it says not only do they learn sports skills, but also friendship. And I thought that was really sweet.
No, absolutely. So Royce Rangers has never been an elite football club, and there is a place for that in the community. But what we do is we bring children along to enjoy sport, enjoy community and enjoy friendship. At the heart of it is always football, but it's about making sure that everybody gets a go. It isn't about your ability, it's about that you want to play. And if you want to play, you should come to Royce Rangers.
And everybody's involved, you were saying earlier. It's run by volunteers.
We're extraordinarily lucky. We've got a bedrock of volunteers, again from the community, families who've grown through the club over the 45-year history. And we still have mums and dads be coming along. We have children. Every single member of the club is a volunteer. We have no paid help at all. We rely on volunteers and we rely on sponsorship and obviously the membership fees for the children. But it is a community club.
So if you want to learn and have a kick about today, there's also a barbecue and ice creams and all sorts for the whole family. Get down here at 10.
Well, that's it for this week's Rutland Radio podcast. If you have any comments, you can email us via the website, rutlandradio.co.uk, and we'll have a new version on our website from Monday.
This is a download from Rutland Radio. For more information, go to rutlandradio.co.uk. This is a download from Rutland Radio.
Hello, and thank you for downloading the Rutland Radio podcast from rutlandradio.co.uk. This is where you can hear the best bits from the last week. So we're here at the first anniversary of the Rutland Water Junior Park Run, but there's another junior and family event actually coming up at Peterborough in just a few weeks' time. It's the Perkins Great Eastern Run with the Anna's Hope 5K Fun Run. I'm here with Carol Hughes from the charity. Now, you've got a special challenge this year, haven't you?
We certainly have. Good morning, everybody. Yes, we've got 300 free children's places for children under 16 to take part in the Anna's Hope 5K Fun Run in the Perkins Great Eastern Run. So what a fantastic experience that, you know, the children could be involved in. As I say, it's all on the flat. It's 5K. It starts at the embankment in Peterborough on October the 13th. And for any child that can raise over £30, which will help a child for 1 week, then we'd like to give you a free place. To do this, you need to get in touch with us at admin@annashope.co.uk, or I can give you my telephone number, which is 01780 740 492, and you'll get a special code, and then you'll enter via the normal method through the Perkins Great Eastern Run, and it'll come up. It's free. We'll send you a fundraising pack as well, and it's about having fun. So if you want to dress as a fairy or some sort of superhero or whatever, then it would be great. And come and show us your chip pin at the end, because you get a little chip pin to go around your ankle, tells you how fast or slow you go, and then come and show us your medal at the end. And then we've got after party, loads and loads of cake, haven't we, Rob?
We have indeed, and the half marathon runners, of course, set off slightly after the fun runners.
Yeah, they set off half an hour afterwards, and it's just a fantastic day to bring the community together and to be involved with. So we're hoping today that the park runners here, that it's their special birthday, it's 1 year, that they're all going to take part as well, and a Team Anna's Hope, and help just make that difference.
And tell us about the charity. I mean, we talked about it many times on the radio. Whereabouts are you now?
Right now I'm stood at Rutland Water. We are based in Stamford, but any child that's been touched by a brain tumour now throughout the whole of the east of England can be supported by Anna's Hope. Anna is my little girl that I tragically lost through a brain tumour 13 years ago now. She was 3 years, 8 months. And to lose a child is just the most unbearable pain you can possibly endure, that I live with every day. But I'm trying to change a huge personal tragedy into a big fairy tale. And for those that you don't know, I'm standing here right now in a fairy outfit, and that's what I wear most of the time because Anna loves fairies. So as brain tumours are now the biggest cancer killer of children and young people across this country, and we help to rehabilitate any child that's been unfortunately touched by a brain tumour, because they may never be the same person again. You see, Rob, it doesn't just touch the child, it affects the whole family, and so we do support groups as well, and we do short breaks, and we also fund equipment at the NHS, some equipment the NHS don't want to fund.
And that's the whole thing, isn't it? You've helped hundreds of children that otherwise wouldn't have had the rehabilitation and support over the last 12, 13 years.
Absolutely, our work is literally pioneering, and we want the government to roll our model across the whole country. We're going back into the old records and inviting children back. There was 1 young man that I met 2 years ago now. He was 4 when he had his brain tumour. He's 16 now. Until he met me, he couldn't even get out of bed, put clothes on, go and make some breakfast, count some money out for a KFC and go to school. But he's doing all of that now and more. And, it gives me a great pleasure to help these children. Her short life has helped hundreds of children, and there are loads of brain tumours around here at the moment, and we just want to make that difference. And if you can help us too, that would be great. Thank you very much.
Rutland Radio's best bits on the podcast.
Good morning, Rob. My name's Councillor Ian Razell. I'm the Armed Forces Champion for Rutland, and delighted to be here at Merchant Navy Day today in Oakham, recognising those hidden group of people that kept us afloat literally during wars and continue to do so today.
And we've heard about the heavy losses that were suffered by the Navy, both in the First and Second World Wars, and also how vital they were and still are.
They absolutely are. I mean, I've read a lot into the history, and I think we probably forget too quickly and too easily just the sacrifice that people made. And obviously chaps and girls went away. My aunt was in the Wrens during the Second World War, and people forget too quickly about what they committed to. But I think, if we sort of pull that forward a little bit, I remember going to the First Gulf War, and the Merchant Navy were vital to us achieving what we did. And then throughout conflict since then, we rely on that organisation silently in the background, just making us all work, all function, and keeping us safe.
The flag's flying here at Oakham Library. I believe it's going to be flown at other locations around the county as well.
Absolutely. I mean, as we move forward with recognising the work that veterans have done for us and the organisations within that, so the Royal Navy, the Army, the Air Force, Royal Marines, the idea is to make sure the flag is flown at every public area that we can, certainly in the castle here at the library and other locations around Rutland. We're really keen to make sure that veterans and serving personnel are remembered appropriately.
There is a small contingent, I know, of Navy based in Rutland within the Army, but also we've got 2 naval veterans here today as well in full uniform, so it clearly is something that means a lot to the county.
It really does, and it's reassuring as we go to things like the very successful breakfast club that's been set up in Oakham by a veteran and his wife, Tracy Mark. I think as we look around, we're starting to recognise that they live amongst us in a really positive way, and it would be nice to walk down the high street and recognise somebody that has done some service, say hello to them and know them. There's a huge population across Rutland with forces connections.
I believe it's about 14%, which is much more than people would think.
I think it is, and I suppose with being a small county, a very proud county, we've benefited from strong links with the Royal Air Force over the years, strong links with the Army, and now we're starting to understand about the Royal Navy and the Merchant Navy. One of my plans over the next year is to understand about the ladies that have served with us as well. We haven't looked at them yet, we absolutely should. They committed themselves as much as the men did, and I'm keen that we recognise some of the girls who went away and some of the girls who did service and understand where they are and look after them in the same way that we do all of our veterans and military community.
Rutland Radio.
I'm Captain Bob Strick, or Robert Strick if I'm in trouble, with my model.
And you're in full uniform, full naval uniform here today.
It's the Merchant Navy uniform, distinguished by the diamond in the middle rather than the curl on the top braid.
And we just heard during your 20 years actually in the Navy that you captained a ship that was as long as Oakham High Street. It's not just an incredible thing to imagine here.
It was a shell tanker. The dead weight tonnage, which is the amount of cargo she can carry, was 323,000 tonnes. The ship itself weighed 95,000 tonnes, so you're getting towards 500,000 tonnes. And these ships had a service speed of 12 knots, about 14 miles an hour. Took a bit of stopping. If you just stopped the engine and kept the rudder midships, they'd take 37 miles to stop in the water. And it was the size of Oakham High Street. If the bridge was at, say, Wilko's, the folks there would be at Mill Street roundabout here. And I think it was actually slightly wider than Oakham High Street.
And what does it mean here today? I mean, we're getting a growing crowd actually recognising what Merchant Navy Day is about.
I think Merchant Navy Day really is to try and raise awareness. It's the 3rd of September because that was the day war broke out. And the first British ship was sunk that very day, the Athenia, with the loss of 128 passengers and crew. After that, the enemy put a huge amount of scrap iron on the seabed all around the world, either Pacific for the Japanese or our other enemies, of course, in the Atlantic and various other oceans. And we lost a total of 54,000 non-combatant merchant seafarers, because there were some women among them as well, in the First and Second World War. A total of 37,000 in the Second World War, which on a per capita basis was greater than all the armed forces put together.
The weekly Rutland Radio podcast.
So I'm with Simon Grieve from Tilton on the Hill. Simon, it's lovely to meet you.
Hi.
And you're going to be riding at Burley this week. Very exciting. And you're going to be riding Vinny. Tell us a little bit about Vinny.
So Vinny is a horse that's owned by Joanne Rutter, who's very local to here. He's called the Rutman, and it's his first time at this level, first time at 5-star level, so it'll be very interesting to see how he copes. He's an amazing jumping horse, fantastic cross-country horse, very, very brave and very confident of himself in the jumping phases, not quite so confident of himself on the flat in the dressage, so that's a little bit of a work in progress, so we're going to see how that goes. We'll take it one step at a time.
And it's not your first time at Burghley, is it? You've done it quite a few times.
Yeah, I've been lucky enough to be at Burghley. I've started 9 times, it's a great event. I'm really glad to be going. I'm really happy to be involved again, and it's a real honour and a privilege to be there because it's such a brilliant event.
And how do you prepare yourself? Do you still get nervous, and how do you cope with those nerves?
I get nervous. I still get nervous all the time. I've done it a few times now, and I still feel the same now as I did the first time I did it. It is very intimidating, and you've got to kind of try and sort of block that out. And I work with a sports psychologist who helps me, called Joe Davies, and I try and sort of compartmentalise things and break everything down and use breathing exercises and visualisation to help me focus.
And I was chatting to you earlier. You were telling me about interval training. How do you prepare the horse for an event such as Burghley?
So the horses do a wide variety of work. We do lots of different things. So we work them on the flat, we jump them, lots of hacking out on the roads. We're really lucky here. It's lovely and quiet, so it's really good for. And the hills are brilliant here, so it's really good for getting them fit.
Lots of trotting up.
Lots of trotting up hills, and then which gets them blowing, gets the heart rate going. But the best thing for that, obviously, is gallop work, interval training. I tend to do it on the gallops or on the fields when the ground's good. I'd rather do it on grass if I can. And I start off by doing 3 lots of 3 minutes of cantering. So 3 minutes canter, 3 minutes break, 3 minutes canter, 3 minutes break, 3 minutes canter. And then I build it up and gradually over time. And Vinny's just done 3 lots of 10 minutes as his last bit of really serious work. So they do a lot. And it's not galloping fast, it's long, consistent canter work. And it just gets their heart rates up and gets them so that they get that stamina built in.
I can see the horse box is ready. You're going to leave today and you stay at Burghley, don't you?
Yeah, I stay there. It's really close to us, so I could come home, I suppose, if I had a car there as well. But I really like staying and being there to keep an eye on my horse and be involved in the whole thing, because I think it's just such an honour to be there, so I want to make the most of it.
Well, we wish you the best of luck, and it's really great to meet you.
Thank you very much.
Rutland Radio.
It's Rutland Radio at breakfast time. I'm Rob Pisani. As you may well have heard in our news this week, SAFA very concerned at the amount of people not seeking support with mental health issues. And they actually have a forces line. To tell us a bit more about it, Captain Harry Grantham, who's captain in the Royal Regiment of Artillery, and Bill Grant, the forces line manager at SAFA. Bill, first of all, tell us about forces line. Is that open sort of night and day?
No, we're not. We're open from 9 to 5:30, 5 days a week, although we do also have an email facility, and we record any messages that are left for us and get back to them as soon as we possibly can. Basically, as the oldest tri-service charity in the UK, SAFA are very, very keen to help and respond to issues surrounding serving and ex-forces personnel, and Forces Line is probably the front door, in the sense that we take the calls, we receive the emails, and we try and help the callers in whatever way we can. And often their call to us is the first move they've made to seek help.
You must be very concerned about the amount of people who aren't actually seeking help like yours, though.
Our concern really stems for the younger serving and ex-forces personnel. In analysing our figures for the first half of this year, which were around 15,000 contacts, it was evident that only 8% of those callers were under the age of 30. And we know that there are problems, that the under 30s have equally bad problems as those over 30, and will need help at some stage. So we're trying to find ways to make our service more accessible and to give those who are in need a chance to speak and be listened to.
And do you think it's a bravado thing to some degree? I mean, mental health stigma is lessening, but it's still there, isn't it?
Yes, it is, sadly. I think one of the interesting things that came out of our research was the fact that there is a large majority of those younger serving and ex-forces personnel acknowledge that there are problems and actually don't regard it as a stigma if someone speaks out. But where the problem lies is when they decide and feel that they can speak out themselves. And it's trying to remove that bit of the problem that we're working on.
I can speak now to Captain Harry Grantham, and this is a service that you yourself have sought help through. Tell us where you were just a couple of years ago. It must have been the point where you thought, I've got to actually do something about this.
Yeah, good morning, Rob. So I was based up in Newcastle, detached from my regiment in Tidworth, and in 2017, early 2018, I went through quite a difficult divorce with a young son just being born, and found myself sadly in a pretty dark place at times where I thought that I could cope with all the pressure of my personal life and obviously with work, and it built up and built up. And sadly, I was isolated up away from my friends down in Wiltshire. And yeah, I really struggled. And like I say, found things very hard. And then I was invited down to a function in Tidworth, and a very good friend of mine, who was actually the welfare officer at the time, just noticed a change in my character. And he pulled what I class as this golden thread. And that golden thread released all the pressure, because he just found that, asked the right questions, offered the support to me. And then I sought a counsellor up in Newcastle, which was amazing, thinking that I would never talk to someone and open up completely to a stranger, but I did. And it was the best thing I ever did. And then I was back down to Tidworth, where the regiment put their arms around me as a family and supported me. I went through the army welfare system and I had a caseworker, which was absolutely amazing. And they, got me where I am now and back to normal. So I'm on a little bit of a campaign just to say to the younger generation that, you can talk. It is good to talk, even though you break through that barrier. Once you've broken that barrier down, it's a lot of pressure gone, and especially to friends that see their colleagues struggling, is to find that golden thread in them and pull it and open that up, and to break down, as we say, that stigma, because mental health shouldn't be a negative. It should be embraced. That actually the help's there and it can be sorted out.
And isn't that great that actually the welfare officer was the one to say? Because actually we do think of the work the welfare officers do, and everyone actually in the services does have that facility too.
Yeah, they do. And I think it's just people stepping over that door and saying, can I have that help? Or just knocking on the door, can I have a chat? And like I say, he is a good friend of mine, but obviously he was in that role. And the chain of command and the welfare team offered all their support. And I've been in the army now just over 24 years, so I've been in those senior positions. So for me to open up and tell people over the radio and these interviews, hopefully it gets down to the younger generation saying, I have been there, and I am still doing what I'm doing. So, it's breaking down that stigma. And next year I'm swimming the Channel. So that's my little campaign and my little journey that I'm going to do for mental health awareness, saying, open up and be seen, and don't be scared.
Isn't that a lovely thing to mention as well, actually, that you're giving something back and you recognise the support, the help, and also the fact that you can reassure people that the help is there if only you actually open up and say, look, I can't keep doing this. I am a bit broken at the moment, but I'm not broken for good.
No, and that's it. No one's broken for good. And it's those friends around them to just have the confidence to say, offer that help, offer that hand, and give that person that support at the right time. And like I say, I'm working with SAFA now, which is great, and they're going to follow me through the next 12 months with my training, and hopefully, build up this little campaign and just help and support where we need to. And hopefully, if I get one person's attention to talk, then I've achieved. So yeah, hopefully it'll be a success.
And Bill, from a SAFA point of view, the Forces line is open and available, and not anything that your chain of command, if you are in the services, will ever find out about.
No, absolutely. We're there for everyone. We have a free telephone number. We have the ability to email, and very shortly we'll, through our website at safa.org.uk, people, and hopefully younger serving members and veterans, will be able to go onto our web chat.
Bill Grant, Forces Line Manager from SAFA, and Captain Harry Grantham, Captain in the Royal Regiment of Artillery. Thanks for joining us on Rutland Radio this morning.
Pleasure, Rob. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rob.
Highlights from the past 7 days, the Rutland Radio Podcast.
My name's Dennis Kenyon, and I'm a church warden at Hallerton, and the Scarecrow Festival this year is being held in aid of funds for St Michael and All Angels Church.
Is there any particular reason why the church needs a bit more funds than normal?
No more than you or I need more funds, quite honestly, just ordinary running costs.
So, the Scarecrow Festival, about how many are you expecting?
There are something like between 70 and 80 scarecrows. There's been a very good turnout, and better still, they are beautifully situated round the village, as you can see from this map, Rob, and there's been a great bundle of them down at the school as well. They've been great, and they've got a nice little selection there, which they're calling Great Expectations.
And the whole theme is a person that you admire, I suppose.
Well, it's probably ended up like that. The original title was From Beano to the Bible and Anything Else You Fancy. And we couldn't care a hoot what you get in as long as there is a scarecrow.
And as well as the scarecrows for people to see, there's all kinds of other special things which you've got on as part of the weekend.
There are indeed. We are serving lunches and teas in the church on both days, and there's also teas being served at North End. And then there are the usual stalls of arts and crafts, books, plants. There's archery at North End on one day. There's obviously ice creams. And in addition to that, on the cross, opposite the Buick Arms, where there are also activities, Laura Bingham, an intrepid adventurer, will read her children's book, Mountains of Dreams, One Girl and Her Bicycle, about her 7,000-mile bicycle trip across South America without any money, relying totally on the kindness of strangers. And she will have some of her books for sale at a special price there. So that's on the Saturday afternoon at the Cross. And on Sunday, Jean Savage, who lives in the village and is a willow weaver, will be giving a sort of demonstration and DIY have-a-go of wild weaving. So those are the two main things, and children's games as well.
And as well as that, you have the most spectacular fly past being planned.
We have, and that is no thanks to us, but thanks to the Hallerton and Isabella Stenning Trust, bless them, who have organised, this was done from last year, a fly past, and I'm told it's at precisely 1:43 p.m. on Saturday the 7th, of a Lancaster bomber from the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight, and it's coming right over the middle of the village at the junction between the Stenning Hall and the High Street, and you don't get much more precision bombing than that. So that is a real boost.
Now, people coming along, tell us about parking and if there's any entry charge or anything like that.
There's no entry charge. I'm afraid parking is where you can, but we don't expect hordes. It's not going to be like bottle kicking with hordes of people at the same time. It'll be well spread because it's over the 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, the 7th and 8th, from 11 till 5. And what we ask people to do is to buy a Scarecrow map for £2, which gives all the activities. It gives the map with all the scarecrow numbers and the positions on the back, so you can see what the particular scarecrows are meant to be if it's not obvious. And there is also a voting form for your favourite scarecrow, and there's obviously a raffle as well. And there are going to be 3 map selling positions, one on the cross, one in the churchyard, and one at North End, where there will be various other things for sale as well, the stalls and so on.
And there's just one final thing to mention. If people are thinking, I'm not sure whether I can get along this weekend, this may not be something that they can see next year, because this takes an awful lot for the village to do. The last one was a few years ago.
The last one was in 2008, and this one I have spent many, many, many hours in emailing and pushing and pressing people, and I certainly, at my age, I do not fancy doing another one, Rob, to be quite honest. So this is your last chance, probably, to turn up to a Hallerton Scarecrow Festival. We look forward to seeing you.
That's 11 till 5, both this Saturday and Sunday. And Dennis Kenyon, thanks for joining us on Rutland Radio.
A pleasure.
Rutland Radio's best bits on the podcast.
Jeremy Watson.
And Tim Nicol.
Jerry, this Tour de Sand obviously is, apart from anything, a very emotional thing for you each year. So how did Italy come about after doing Spain before?
Italy came back. I was in a lecture which I thought was about the Mille Miglia road race, and it turned out to be a lecture on architecture around Italy following the Mille Miglia course. And I was in this lecture thinking, that's a fantastic ride. I've always wanted to do the Mille Miglia. I could never do it because I can't afford it, and so I'm going to bike it instead.
So how did the bamboo bikes come about?
The bamboo bikes came about, I suppose, in two ways. First of all, I was doing another ride, having just done the Spain ride, and this girl came up to me and she said, "Did you do much riding?" And I sort of swelled my chest and said, "Yes, I do." "And what about you?" And she said, "Yes, I've just done 12,000 kilometres on a bike which I made out of bamboo." And that really hooked my interest. Actually, you talked about the emotional thing. For me, this was very significant because it was about, if you like, rebuilding my life. The metaphor of this whole thing of building this new bike has been very strong for me. Apart from that, they're brilliant to ride, and the fact that you're riding something that you've actually made yourself, it just adds a completely new dimension to the whole thing.
I can see bits of bamboo, I can see conventional cycle frame, and I can see cable ties. Basically.
Yes, that's exactly right. I wish you hadn't seen the cable ties, really.
Well, you've got to put stuff on with something.
Yes, so the frames are all made out of bamboo. They are incredibly strong, and obviously you have to use modern componentry, obviously for the wheels and the gears.
So, Tim, you're leaving Bluebell at Easton on the Hill tonight, bound for Italy, and then in 3 or 4 days' time, a month of cycling.
Yes, that's right. Well, I shan't actually be doing any cycling. I've got the easier job.
You're the pace car, are you?
I'm the pace car. I'm the support van driver. So I'm taking these 14 bikes all the way down to Brescia in northern Italy, just past Milan. I'll get there on Friday, and the riders join me on Saturday to put the bikes together. And then we start an anti-clockwise loop through Rome, Bologna, and coming back to Brescia a month after the riders start.
Doesn't sound flat to me.
It's horrific. In the third week, the total ascent that we're doing is 1.5 times Everest. So, yeah, it's not flat. Well done.
Support from the village, I guess that continues to be strong.
The village support is immense, both morally and financially. This is another big sort of event, and we will continue as well to do small local events as well.
Excellent stuff. So people can find all this out about on the Tour de Sand's website. You'll be having regular updates, I guess, as well as to where you are and how it's going.
Yes, we will, Rob. We're on tourdesands.com, and we've got our own Facebook page and Twitter feed. Jerry will write a blog as the ride progresses. And, we look forward to seeing all those likes and shares and messages of support back.
Well, that's it for this week's Rutland Radio podcast. If you have any comments, you can email us via the website, rutlandradio.co.uk, and we'll have a new version on our website from Monday.
This is a download from Rutland Radio. For more information, go to rutlandradio.co.uk.